I had an opportunity to get on a Zoom call with one of my dear friends, Rebecca Carter, and she owns a shop in New Hampshire. And we had such fun just kind of talking about things that happen in business. This is one of many that we've had over the years, but I thought today was really interesting on some of the topics that we just covered in a short amount of time, and I thought I would share them with you. Maybe there's something in here that you can relate to. After it's done, I'm going to talk a little bit more about them, but I really wanted you just to hear how the conversation went. Are you ready? Let's dive in.
Like locked, I feel like locked out of the social world. My personal Facebook account got hacked, which then locked me out of everything, my business, Instagram, Messenger, anything owned by Facebook. And it's still unresolved. And
Wow.
it's like, wish anybody a Merry Christmas. I couldn't, and it's been humbling because you can't rely on those platforms. Like if you don't have an address book or people's cell phone number, or I mean, I think I have your cell phone number, but nonetheless, you can't get a hold of people or their email address or anything. Like suddenly you're just like locked out of an entire community. And it was harder than I thought. I mean, there's a relief to it, but then you're like, oh, I just want to look up so and so's, and it's in Messenger and you can't get in. And so I don't know what I'm going to do. I think it's gone. I think it's gone forever.
You
Like
mean if
that,
I go and look for you?
I'm gone. I don't exist. My business Instagram doesn't exist. My personal Facebook account doesn't exist. It's been a little traumatic. And, that sort of superficial portfolio you have in your social media images, and
Oh, yeah.
telling everybody this in my circle, because I think what happened was I got hacked. So there was some scandalous, obviously that wasn't me. But then when I looked into it further, because I had Rebecca Carter AIFD EMC, which is a violation of community standards, by the way, but we do
Really?
it together because it's not your real name. So I couldn't prove who I was, because even though I had my certificate from AIFD for my dues this year, that wasn't even enough proof of anything, because like I could have just made a certificate. I don't have any legal document that says Rebecca Carter, AIFD, EMC. I can't get in. I can't prove my identity. And this has been going on since like the 20th of November. So it's making me reevaluate, where does this fit in? It's important, but how important? So anyone that has a business or anyone that has credentials like we do, I'm telling them this story just because if your personal page is the admin on your business page and your personal page gets hacked and your personal page has something for a profile name that you can't prove is you, good luck. It's so either create a Facebook page that's just Christy Lopez and you have no friends, and that's your admin page for your business, just in case something happens, because you can't get back in. Even when I tried to create a new Facebook page, it figured out that was me and locked me out of that one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
My one of my coach friends just had that happen to her, and it's been about 3 weeks that she had no access to Facebook and her Instagram and everything like that. Her biggest thing is that all of the groups that she would have messenger chats with, all of the communication was through there. And
It's gone.
yes,
Can't.
there's no
Yeah.
communication.
I don't know how, I mean, I guess I could find out through like MailChimp or something, like how much business came from that. But all my email marketing that would then link to social media, and then that links to the website, and that you know how it is. You just have that line for the holiday. Like I didn't have that for Thanksgiving or Christmas.
How
So
did that affect sales?
November was okay. December, it okay, so it felt slow. It felt really slow. It felt dead. I would use that word. And so I'm like, what is going on? I mean, sales weren't down that much. Maybe for the whole month, maybe 10%, which for me is a lot because I've still been growing. Less than 10, probably like 8%. So we're talking whatever, I don't know, like $4,000 or $5,000. And I'm like, could that have been part of it? But then I'm like, also my staff finally is like really good. So it feels slower if you're well staffed because everybody's doing their job and doing it
Yes.
well quickly. Oh, crap. Now I'm like overstaffed. So it's like that balancing act. I think it did. I think it made me think at least that my efforts were doing something because it was a really organic following. It was local. I'm a little bummed about that. It wasn't a huge following, but it was a good following.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be big if it's active.
Yeah. I'm more upset about my business Instagram page than I am about my personal Facebook page. And because it's all linked, I can't get my Instagram page back. You know, bag of worms.
Well, it's a great way to say, okay, how do I get to reach my ideal clients there
Right.
and still advertise an amazing business without that? And it's kind of like, what did we do before it came about?
True story. And I'm like, kind of like always told me, he's like, that isn't what's making you money. And I know that, but it's a piece.
It
It's
is.
just a,
It's a piece of it.
oh,
It's a huge part of the time that we invest in our business.
it's just like I'll figure out where that's going to fit into the picture moving forward because it has completely exhausted me trying to solve this problem, which it's been weird. It's been a weird. I didn't expect the emotions that I had. Like I was like I was mourning. Like I went through all of those emotions. Weird. Like I was in denial, and then I was angry, and then I was like depressed, and then I was like, all right, well, I guess I have to do something else. And but it's weird because it's like my people, and like you lose connection with that tribe. You suddenly feel like you've been kicked to the curb, and because I didn't children. I'm annoyed. Like I'm pissed because I didn't do that. I was falsely accused.
Well, they have no idea what they do to us when they say these things, right?
Well, like months before I could even verbalize that because it's so horrible. But we're going to move on. That's how I roll. And
Okay. I'm curious, what is it that brought you to saying, okay, you know what, I want to do this? What's on your mind?
well, it's funny you say that because I watched your video last night, which is excellent, by the way. Proud of you.
Thanks.
And one of the comments was, I don't know why I was trying to become $1 million company. That was ridiculous. Like when you said, imagine if you could make more money doing less work, then that was like my goal up until I watched that video was like, I'm trying to get to become a figure company. And why? I don't know. Ego. I have no idea. Like it's just a goal, whatever. It's a number. And then I was like, well, there's expense with that, which doesn't necessarily equate to higher profit. I know that. I've always wondered, okay, at what level does that pivot, where your revenue gets higher and your profit starts to go down. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay.
Um, Figuring out that sweet spot. And then, like you're saying, if you're saying there's ways to increase your revenue by just making some small changes, well, who wouldn't want to do that? Because it feels like such a big change to do what I'm ultimately trying to do. And then for what? For my ego? Like that's kind of lame. That's not a good why. So,
Well,
um,
and I totally understand you because for years my goal was to have that seven figures. I didn't pay attention to the bottom line, though. I didn't pay as much attention to the profit, right? I paid more attention to getting the revenue.
it's hard. It sort of defeats the purpose.
I think it's a really important thing to recognize. And I'm glad that that kind of stuck with you.
Yeah. Yeah. That stuck with me the most. I mean, and I've thought of it as we've had different little side hustles, like when we did the farm and like all these different things that we sort of done in a very short period of time. Really, this like LLC is 10 years old, but Branch and Bloom is only going to be 6 years old this April. And so really ultimately it was a brand new company when we opened that.
True.
So even though it was just, the same LLC, just a DBA brand boom. So I feel like in a very short period of time, we've sort of bursted into the community, and been profitable from the beginning.
Which is good. Yes. And not everybody can say that.
I'm like you in that I can be an artist, but I'm like, it's a fine line between, I think I'm more of an entrepreneur than I am the artist, even though the artistry is really important to me. I'm always thinking about the business, the numbers. I'm looking, I'm calculating, I'm projecting. I'm like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Where are we going? What are we doing? So, and then
Well,
I think,
and are you like me in the creative side that I got a little bored if I wasn't trying to kind of manipulate it into doing something else? If it was going well, and then I was like, okay, well, what else can I do and add on?
enough. That's what my mom says. Why do you want more? I'm like, I don't know.
Because I can.
No, why do I run marathons? It's dumb. It's stupid. I know it's stupid, but I can't. An overachiever, I don't know. It's like, okay. But it is a compulsion. It is, yeah, I think there is I guess it's a boredom, or maybe it just feels like, okay, now I've done this. It's not enough. Or do you just stay? I'm like, it's occurred to me this past Christmas that sometimes people want the same special you offered last year. I'm like, well, I don't want to make that centerpiece again, but they want the whatever home for the holidays. And I'm like, yeah, but that was last year. But people like that. There's tradition. So I'm like, all right, maybe I don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. That would be helpful.
And it's so true, though. We get stuck into a frame of mind where we're like, yeah, it's got to be new, or else they're not going to be interested.
Right.
But some people love the same.
Yeah. I have this one stupid arrangement. It's called the Lake House Garden. And we made it for Mother's Day like years ago. And I had to it was a joke, like, well, the day is not over because we haven't had a web order for the Lake House Garden. And then ding, we get the order for the Lake House Garden. And I'm like, I'm gonna have to June Connors because she's received this arrangement like 6 times. And she must think we make nothing else. So one day I asked her and she's like, oh my God, that's my favorite arrangement. Like, she loves it. She would want it every week. So that, I mean, that's not everyone. That's not me. But if you're used to having a certain arrangement on a certain table in your house, you wouldn't care if you had it a couple times a year. So I
That's
don't know.
so true.
The lesson and not
It
overthink.
is. There are many lessons to learn, and that is definitely one of them. So there you have it. Those were just some of the highlights of our hour and a half long conversation, and we had such a good time. But I just wanted to go over some of the key takeaways that I had from the conversation. One is all about the social media and getting locked out. Like, is your social media linked to just one admin? Is there somewhere else that you can link it? And are we using a name that can be verified if we were locked out? I hadn't ever thought of that before, but she brought up a great point. One of the next things I thought about too is how dependent are we on our social media as our main avenue to reach our audience? Are we using email to really keep in touch with them? I know we all think that sometimes email is a thing of the past, but it still isn't. It's a still direct way that we can reach out to our audience. Are you building that email list? Or are you depending so much on your Instagram feed or your Facebook posts or even a Facebook group? What if you were locked out? What do you do? How would you reach out to them? How would you get those sales? These are really important lessons to be thinking about. Perhaps are you even guilty of doing what Rebecca and I have done in the past, where we're striving for that elusive 7-figure plus in revenue. And what really matters is the profit and the bottom line. Gosh, I learned that lesson so late in my business career. And it's something that I am reminded of often as I'm coaching my clients, in that we get to look at what our bottom line is. Yes, we get to increase our revenues and do things like that because it's important. But we also get to take time and look at our numbers and say, okay, can I work less and still make more? How can I enjoy my time? How can I enjoy my business more? How can I enjoy my family more? And get that downtime. And what is it worth to me? Can I look at those expenses and cut some costs? Especially in the new year, that's the best time to look at it. Start reevaluating, right? So another one was, have you gotten bored? Do you find yourself looking for going to a place where you can grow and be challenged, and sometimes shifting your business some? But is that always the best thing to do? Or would it be better to stay where you're at and try to hone that business in even better? One of the things that she brought up is so true. I loved it when she said that sometimes our customers count on what we've offered before. They don't want anything new. They love what they've gotten from us before. They love what we provide, and they love the service that they get. Are we the ones that feel like it always has to be new? As a creative entrepreneur, I know that I'm always looking for something new and creative and different. But are our clients looking for that? Are they expecting us to be there for them and to be able to offer what we offer to them? That's something to think about. We get to evaluate what we're doing in our business, and we get to decide how we want to move forward in 2023. So I hope that you have gotten some lessons or some insights today. If you did, I'd love to know, and I'd love to have you comment, what lessons or what light bulb moments did you have that you want to implement today? That's it for now. I hope you have a wonderful new year, and thanks for joining me on this episode.